You talked about shift, drip, and then maybe more importantly, you talked about reassortment of different flu isolates. Talk about how within, I guess, swine, maybe specifically in humans, how viruses may shift back and forth. I think people generally think about getting influenza from animals maybe, but the opposite can be true as well, right?
Yeah, that is true. So we mentioned a little bit earlier about zoonotic infections, and those are the pathogens that can go from the animals into people. But when it comes to influenza specifically and this bidirectional transmission that can occur fairly easily between pigs and people, we see viruses that we know are human strains of flu that then we detect with our genetic sequencing in samples we receive at Iowa State, and that's known as reverse zoonosis. And basically, pigs are kind of unique in the fact that their respiratory tract has two receptors that are able to attach human strains of flu, and then they also have the receptor for the avian strains as well. So they're susceptible to both strains, and just the close proximity now that we have between human workers at farms, or you look at agricultural fairs where you have a lot of our youth spending a lot of time in very close proximity to their pigs because they want to care for them and are concerned about them. You create opportunities for that transmission to occur. Yeah. So you've got the receptors that are there that are similar between pigs and people. Pigs in particular can have both receptors. And so it's created this interplay of H1 and H3 viruses that can go kind of back and forth. The pandemic H1 virus was made up of swine segments from influenzas that have been circulating in pigs. And that became a big deal, as far as the pandemic in people. But we continue to see that strain actually spill back over into pigs. So we'll see some H1 pandemics in addition to all of the swine strains that are there. And then it's interesting. It seems like when there's high pressure of influenza detection on the human side in particular seasons, when you could say flu on the human side is kind of worse or there's a lot more infections, we see more spillovers of those viruses than into pigs as well. And right now we are kind of in the process of monitoring an H3 virus that's circulating in pigs that did have a human origin, and we'll see if it becomes established, becomes endemic. And then just the challenge with that is you've got another clade or genetic clade of viruses circulating in pigs, which adds to that overall ecology or genetic diversity, and the challenges just continue from there.
Yeah, incredible. Well, if you think about, I smiled when you talked about proximity. I just was at a county fair, and these show pigs, there's kids laying in the hay, sleeping next to their animals, and so that's clear there. But also, if you go to a commercial farm, 8,000 animals in a barn, and you're doing whatever, vaccinating or taking temps or whatever. It's a pretty intimate relationship when you're in the barn, so not surprising that it happens.